Have you ever had one of those days where it feels like every time you ask your grandchild, or even your own child when they were younger, to do something, the answer is always no? Can you please put your shoes on? No time to clean up your toys. No. It's like no has become their favorite word, and suddenly you feel like you're in a never-ending tug-of-war, one you didn't sign up for and certainly didn't want to win with yelling or frustration. Now, if you're anything like me, you might remember the days when kids didn't say no so freely, at least not without some serious consequences. But times have changed, haven't they? And as grandparents, or even older parents, we're often put in a bit of a tricky spot. We want to guide and discipline our little ones with love and wisdom, not with the heavy-handedness we might have grown up with. The challenge is finding that sweet spot, where we're respected, but still kind. Firm, but never frightening. That's where positive discipline comes in, and believe me, it can work wonders. So, what do you do when your child or grandchild seems to resist everything? When no becomes a daily soundtrack in your home? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're diving into 6 positive discipline techniques that can gently but effectively help children cooperate more and help you feel more peaceful and in control, too. No yelling. No guilt. Just smart, compassionate strategies that truly work. Let's start with one of the most powerful tools we often overlook: connection before correction. You see, children, especially younger ones, don't always act out just to be difficult. Most of the time, a child who constantly says no is trying to assert independence, test boundaries, or simply get your attention. And if we try to correct or control them without first connecting, they often dig their heels in even deeper. Think about it like this: how do you feel when someone tells you what to do, out of the blue, with no warm-up, no kindness, and no explanation? It can feel abrupt, even disrespectful. Kids feel that, too. So instead of barking out a command like "go wash your hands right now," try something like, "Hey, sweetie, come sit with me for a second. I missed you today." A few kind words, maybe a hug or gentle eye contact, and then you can say, "All right, now let's go wash up together." That small shift can work like magic. You're not just bossing them around, you're inviting them into cooperation. This connection doesn't have to take long, and it doesn't need to be dramatic. A smile, a touch on the shoulder, kneeling down to their eye level, it tells them, "I see you. I care about you. You matter." And when kids feel seen and safe, they're far more likely to listen. Now, once you've got that connection going, another powerful approach is offering choices instead of commands. Oh, this one can change everything. We all like to feel we have some control, right? Well, kids are no different. In fact, many times when they say no, it's not because they don't want to cooperate, it's because they want to feel in charge of something. And when we give them 2 simple, reasonable choices, it gives them a sense of power without the chaos. Instead of saying, "Put on your jacket now," you might try, "Would you like to wear your red jacket or your blue one today?" You're still guiding the outcome. They're wearing a jacket, but you've let them steer the ship a little. And if you're consistent with this, you'll see a lot fewer power struggles. It works wonders during meal times, too. Do you want apple slices or grapes with your lunch? See? No argument, just a simple choice that gets the job done and helps them feel confident. And don't worry if they push back even on the choices you give. That happens. If your grandchild says, "I don't want either," you can gently remind them, "Those are the 2 choices today. You pick, or I'll pick for you." Say it calmly. Say it kindly. And then follow through. That calm consistency is what teaches them, over time, that boundaries are real, but they're not scary. It's not always easy, though, is it? Especially when you're tired, or they're having a rough day, or you just don't have the energy to be endlessly patient. But that's the beauty of these techniques. They don't require perfection, just a bit of practice and a steady heart. Another thing I've learned, sometimes the no isn't about what you're asking. It's about the timing. That's why the next technique is to use routines to reduce resistance. I know, the word routine doesn't sound very exciting. But children actually thrive on them. When they know what to expect, they feel safe. Predictability calms their nervous system. And when something becomes a routine, it's no longer something to argue about, it's just what we do. For example, let's say brushing teeth at night always ends in a battle. Instead of it being a last-minute order, go brush your teeth. Make it a part of a bedtime routine that you do together. Maybe it goes, bath time, pajamas, 2 stories, teeth brushing, then a cuddle and lights out. Do it in that order every night. After a few days, you won't have to remind them, it becomes part of their internal rhythm. And there's something beautiful about that, especially when you're helping raise a child in a world that can feel unpredictable. And here's a little bonus tip that ties in nicely: make routines visual. Even older kids benefit from seeing a simple chart with drawings or words showing the steps of their day. You don't need to buy anything fancy, a piece of paper and a pen will do. Let them help create it. Suddenly, they feel ownership over the plan, and you get fewer no's and more cooperation. So far, we've talked about the power of connecting before correcting, offering choices instead of commands, and building routines to lower resistance. Each one of these is rooted in respect, for both the child and yourself. And the more you practice them, the more peaceful your days become. You may not eliminate every no, but you'll start to notice they don't come quite as often, or with quite the same fire behind them. Now that we've laid that foundation with a few key techniques, let's keep building on it. Because even with connection, choices, and routines in place, there will still be moments when a child digs in their heels. That's normal. They're still learning how to handle emotions, and honestly, so are we sometimes, right? That's why this next approach is something I like to think of as a kind of secret ingredient: acknowledge their feelings first. It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Think about the last time you felt frustrated or upset. Did it help when someone dismissed your feelings or tried to fix things too quickly? Probably not. You wanted someone to just hear you. Kids want that too. When they say no, sometimes it's not just defiance, it's a feeling they don't know how to express. Maybe they're tired, hungry, overstimulated, or just in a funk they can't explain. Instead of jumping in with "stop whining" or "you're being difficult," try saying something like, "It sounds like you really don't want to get in the car right now. I get it, you were having fun playing." That little bit of empathy creates a pause. You're not giving in, but you're showing that you see them. And that pause? It opens the door to cooperation. Because once they feel heard, they're often more willing to meet you halfway. Sometimes I say, "I can see this is hard for you," and then wait a moment. You'd be amazed what happens in that silence. They may sigh. They may even say, "Okay," and go along with what you asked. Not because you forced them, but because they felt understood. That's the heart of discipline that works. It's not about control. It's about teaching, guiding, and connecting. Another helpful way to ease those no moments is to stay playful whenever you can. I know, it might sound silly, especially if you're not in the mood, but turning a power struggle into a game can shift the energy in an instant. Instead of saying, "Get dressed right now," you could say, "Let's race. Who can put on their socks faster, you or me?" Or make the toothbrush a superhero and say, "Captain Clean Teeth is ready for action." You don't have to be a comedian or a clown, just a little sprinkle of fun can soften even the crankiest mood. You see, play is a child's first language. It's how they explore the world, express themselves, and even process emotions. When you bring playfulness into the moment, you're speaking in a way that makes sense to them. And believe me, it makes things easier for you, too. When you make it fun, they're more likely to say yes without even realizing it. I remember once my grandson refused to put on his pajamas. He was done. Worn out. Nothing was working. So instead of insisting over and over, I turned the pajama top into a puppet and had it talk to him. "Hey, I'm cold. Can I live on your belly tonight?" He laughed, and just like that, problem solved. It took 10 extra seconds, but saved 10 minutes of stress. And that brings me to another gentle strategy, one that might take a little practice, but it's worth it. stay calm and consistent, even when they aren't. Children are still learning how to regulate their emotions. They'll have meltdowns, say things they don't mean, even shout no just to see what happens. Our job isn't to match their storm with one of our own, it's to be the steady ship in the waves. That's not always easy. Especially if you've already had a long day, your joints are aching, or you just wanted 5 minutes of quiet. But the calmer we can stay, the safer they feel, and the faster they settle. Think of it this way, you're not just managing a moment, you're modeling how to handle frustration. When you take a breath, lower your voice, and say, I hear that you're upset, but it's time to go, you're showing them what self-control looks like. They may not thank you now, but one day, when they're adults facing their own challenges, they'll remember your example. And consistency, well, that's your best friend in all of this. If you say something, mean it. If there's a consequence, follow through calmly. If you promise a reward or a cuddle after a task, keep your word. Kids thrive when they know what to expect. The world feels big and unpredictable to them, so the more steady and reliable you can be, the more they learn to trust and listen. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What happens when you've tried all this, and the no's just keep coming? Well, the truth is, no technique is perfect, and no child is the same every day. But when you stay kind, stay steady, and keep using these positive tools, you start to see small wins. And those small wins? They build over time. You'll notice fewer battles, more peace, and a deeper bond growing between you and that child who once said no to everything. I want to remind you of something important here. Your calm presence matters more than you know. Whether you're a grandparent helping out a few times a week or a full-time caregiver, the way you respond can shape that child's understanding of what love and discipline look like. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, being patient, and being willing to grow alongside them. Let's take a breath together for a moment. This work of guiding children is no small thing. It's hard work. Soul work. And you're doing more good than you probably realize. You're doing more good than you probably realize. Every moment you choose calm over conflict, connection over control, you're planting seeds that grow into empathy, cooperation, and confidence. That brings us to the final technique, and it's one that doesn't just help the child, it helps you, too. It's about teaching through example, not just correction. You see, children are always watching us. Even when it doesn't seem like it. They watch how we speak when we're frustrated, how we react when we're interrupted, how we talk about others when we think no one's listening. They learn far more from what we do than what we say. So if we want them to handle disappointment with grace, to speak kindly even when they're upset, or to apologize when they've hurt someone, we have to go first. Let me share a little story with you. I once lost my temper after a long day. My back hurt, dinner was late, and my granddaughter was refusing, again, to clean up her blocks. I snapped. Not loudly, not cruelly, but with a sharp tone I wasn't proud of. Her face fell. I could have just moved on, justified it as I was tired, or said, well, she should have listened. But instead, I took a deep breath and knelt beside her. I'm sorry I raised my voice, I said. I was feeling tired and frustrated, but that wasn't the right way to talk to you. She looked at me quietly, then gave me a hug. And you know what she said 2 days later? When she knocked over her little brother's toy and he cried, she said, I'm sorry. That wasn't the right way to play. My heart melted. That's the power of modeling. Not being perfect, but being real. Owning our mistakes and showing them how to make things right. The truth is, our grandchildren, our children, they don't need perfection. They need honesty. They need us to show them that it's okay to have big feelings, and it's okay to mess up sometimes, as long as we come back to kindness, to responsibility, to love. And maybe that's the heart of it all. Positive discipline isn't about avoiding all conflict or raising a child who never says no, it's about showing them how to manage conflict in a healthy way. It's about helping them become emotionally intelligent, compassionate people who can express themselves and respect others. That's a pretty beautiful goal, don't you think? Now, before we wrap up, let's just take a breath and look back on everything we've talked about today, not in a checklist kind of way, but in a heart-centered way. We've talked about connecting before correcting, offering simple choices, building routines, validating feelings, using playfulness, staying calm and consistent, and leading by example. Each one of these is a small act of love, and they add up in a big way. I know this might feel like a lot, especially if you're already feeling stretched thin or unsure of how to handle a child who seems to resist everything. But I want to reassure you, you can do this. You have life experience, wisdom, and probably more patience than you give yourself credit for. You don't need to be a parenting expert or have all the answers. What matters most is showing up with love and a willingness to learn alongside the child you're guiding. And when things go sideways, as they sometimes will, just return to the basics. Pause. Breathe. Connect. You'll be amazed at how much shifts when you do. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any of these techniques before? Have any stories, successes, or even funny "they said no again" moments you'd like to share? Drop them in the comments. I truly believe we learn best when we learn together. Your story might just encourage someone else who needs it today. And if this video helped you, even just a little, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and reach more kind-hearted people like you. And if you'd like more gentle, practical advice on parenting, grandparenting, and living with purpose after 60, don't forget to subscribe. We've got so much more to explore together. Remember, there's no age limit on growing, learning, and loving well. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, your influence matters deeply. Children don't just need people who are younger and faster, they need people who are wise, steady, and filled with love. That's you. So here's to you, patient, thoughtful, and doing your very best. And here's to raising the next generation with grace, compassion, and yes, even a few well-handled no's. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Here's to living and loving your best life at any age.